but your biology does not care about your belief. So you can believe that you're saving the planet and not killing the little insect that's crawling along, whatever. But you need to be eating the species-appropriate diet, which is animal protein.
Debbie, how did you find carnivore?
Hi, Dave. Thank you so much for having me as one of your interviewees. So there's a short answer and there's a longer answer. So the short answer is Jordan Peterson and Michaela Peterson, who I've been following Jordan for many years because I really respect him and his views on all the things that he talks about. And then I'm a nursing sister, and I work in primary health care. So I'm very interested from a professional aspect in health. And but I also had some issues with my own journey. But so when I heard that Jordan was eating only meat, and I heard the story of his daughter Michaela with her juvenile arthritis and all the issues that she had, and the dramatic improvement that they had in their health, initially I thought, wow, that's really like quite extreme. What about vegetables? Don't we need a balanced diet? What about vegetables? And fruit? Aren't we supposed to be eating all those things? So that was the land of delusion I was living in. And then of course, once you click on those, you start clicking on more of those videos, you start getting all the others. So, and actually to go back a bit as well, my sister actually studied nutrition. She lives in the UK. She's actually visiting at the moment. She's also carnivore at the moment, and she's got a lot more health issues than I have. But she started on a health journey of looking at diet to heal herself. And so I was introduced to Dr. Jason Fung, who's from Canada, who's speaks a lot about intermittent fasting. So first it was intermittent fasting, so basically giving your body a bit of a break from food to heal. And then that led, and obviously onto keto and things like that. And also I'm quite honored to live in the country that Professor Tim Noakes comes from. So I was, following him right in the beginning with the Banting diet. You remember it used to be called the Banting diet quite a few years ago, and all the books he wrote and the cookery books he brought out, and there was and the terrible things he went with through the medical, where they tried to sort of silence him or whatever. So eventually that whole journey led me to carnivore. So I was never really, I'm 62. I was never really, I don't have a lot of health issues, but I was on blood pressure pills. I had some joint pain, eczema, not sleeping well at night, things like that. And I decided last year in July, the 25th of July last year, I'm going to do a 30-day challenge of carnivore, which I did. And the 30 days turned into 60 days, turned into 90 days, turned into whatever I am now, 7 and something months. And I just saw such amazing improvements quite quickly with sleeping. And also the other thing that I found is that just your brain just feels calm. You just feel calm. It's quite amazing, actually. And we live in a very stressful country with lots of challenges. So there's just stress all around us. So I'm still doing it. And the other reason that I'm a carnivore, which some people might relate to, is actually I'm a very lazy dieter. I hate diets, and I find them so difficult to stick to. Even keto, like what vegetables can I eat? What am I, can I eat this? Reading labels, how many carbs? So I just decided that, listen, meat, eggs, beef, bacon, butter, and eggs. That's it. So so easy. You don't have to think about it. Anyway, so I started my own journey with the health benefits. And I've just found, I work in a pharmacy. So, and I'm watching, Dr. Berry, Kerry from Homestead How, Dr. Sean Baker, all of those amazing guys that are in the community, and including you. And I just found watching their videos so enlightening. For me, it's like the scales have been removed from my eyes. And once they go, you can't go back. You can't go back. You just see. So I work in a pharmacy and I run the clinic. My main function is the baby clinic, which is another thing about now what I do. I teach mothers about what to feed their babies. But I also see a lot of adults with fatigue, with joint pain, with eczema, with rashes, high blood pressure, overweight, all of those metabolic things that happen. And then I see, especially the older people coming from the dispensary up towards going to pay, all frail and with their walkers and looking awful, with clutching their big bags of medication. So my why, because I think it's very important as a carnivore, any sort of health journey that you're on, you have to have a very big why. My why is that I'm looking after my mitochondria and my metabolism. I refuse to give into those things of, oh, it's because we're getting old. Doesn't old age suck? Old age isn't for sissies. All of those freaking things that people say with the joint pain and all those things. I don't think us as humans need to be like that. We don't. We just don't. And I plan to be old and healthy, still active and now, so what I do is, because I talk a lot and I can't shut up, is when I see people in my clinic, I say, do you mind if I just chat to you about something? And then my first question is also, can you tell me about what you eat? What is your diet? And and the general response is, oh, I eat a very healthy, balanced diet. So I said, well, can you tell me what you eat? Now I have oats for breakfast with some fruit, and I have, chicken and tomato sandwich or whatever for lunch, and then I have vegetables and whatever, the usual. I said, okay, well, or else I say to them, so what is your version of healthy diet? And they will, of course, parrot the usual. And then I say, well, actually, and I tell them my journey. I didn't have a huge amount of weight to lose. I've lost about 10 kilograms, which is, and I've sort of stabilized at that, which I'm actually happy with. But I do tell them that I've lost weight, and most people are like, oh, wow, I love meat. But what about the fat? What about cholesterol? What about this? What about that? All the usual things that they talk about. And so I'm spreading the carnivore gospel at work. And I'm so passionate about it. I just feel this is one of the major tools that we have in our arsenal of health, our health as humans, that is completely ignored by the medical profession. And what I always say to patients as well is, tell me, does your doctor ever talk to you ask you what you eat? I'm waiting for one person to say yes. Even the diabetics, they don't tell them what, or they'll give them the usual, the usual things.
And that's the thing with diabetics. That should be the first question.
Exactly. Exactly. And the other thing is, in South Africa, we have a huge, very poor population. And I was Googling some stats, and diabetes is the second highest cause of death, which I know in the Western world is also next to TB, and TB is an infectious disease. So next to TB, diabetes is the highest cause of mortality in South Africa. And of course, all the things that go with that, And we have a thing in South Africa called pap, which is like a maize meal that a large part of our population eats that as a staple because it's cheap to eat. And you see obese people just everywhere. And then they eat a lot of food deep fried in seed oils. They eat a thing called fat cook, which is a fat cake, which is flour and water deep fried in seed oil. So you've got, and then they put meat with that, or they might even put jam or something with it. So it's like your toxins on toxins on toxins, you know.
And the
But it's
sad thing about that is organizations like Harvard University would say the problem there is the meat.
exactly. No, exactly. So, you know, so like with, I think most people in that are looking at a way to be healthier, is that education is, you know, the food pyramid, all the lies we've been told about all that Seventh-day Adventist, Kellogg's, all of that stuff. I mean, you must have seen that video. I don't know if you did a video on the guy from Kellogg's advocating that people have Kellogg's for supper. Have you seen that video?
Yeah, I did a video on it. Yeah, it's
Yeah. I mean, it's
atrocious.
insanity. It's insanity. And so I find a lot of people are still very ignorant in, but I love my vegetables and I love my fruit. And then, of course, we haven't even mentioned dementia. So many people with dementia. And I see so many people with autoimmune diseases, especially young women. And really, I get so excited about wanting to just share with them one opportunity to reverse these terrible things that they have, you know, with what they eat, with what they put in their pie hole, as I say, you know. So, yeah. So,
So,
yeah.
on that point, let me ask you,
Mhm.
was your excitement about talking about this, was this what got your sister involved as well?
Yes, my sister was doing keto as well, but she went into carnivore after me. So, excuse my dog barking. So, so she's been doing carnivore as well. Yeah, with she hasn't been as successful as me, but she definitely sees has, especially she battles a lot with IBS, and I think a lot of people do, with all those lovely grains and veggies and things, and fiber. Don't forget about fiber, so important. So she definitely finds that her IBS is almost disappears completely with doing carnivore, and so we actually maybe want to start doing some kind of little business together, or some kind of thing together, because she's a qualified nutritionist, and maybe be able to help people online, you know.
So, being a qualified nutritionist, how
Mm-hmm.
did the idea of carnivore or even keto square with her kind of training as a nutritionist?
A very interesting question, actually, because one of the things she's taught in her nutrition thing is what, 7 veggies, Lynn? 7 portions of veggies a day is what she's taught as a nutritionist. So when people say to me, "Oh, no, I'll go and see a dietitian if they're newly diagnosed with diabetes," or whatever, I say, "Don't do that. They don't know what they're talking about." No, maybe I'm being rude there, but really, you're not going to get the best advice from dietitians, because they're all on the vegetable grains bandwagon. So, aren't
And
they?
what an exciting bandwagon that would be.
I know. So yeah, so Linda, is my sister, is definitely finding what she's taught in her nutrition, because now she's going to that conference that's happening in London with Dr. Chafee. And are you going to be there, aren't you?
Unfortunately not. No,
Oh
maybe
dear,
next year.
because you are one of the superstars, you know. So she's so excited to go to that conference. And I think that the wheel is turning. And, you know, in South Africa, we also have, with Tim Noakes, Professor Tim Noakes, he has a thing called Eat Right South Africa, and which is teaching especially poorer people that can't afford to eat carnivore, whatever, but teaching them what they can eat that will make them metabolically more healthy. So it's an incredible initiative. And they've got a very good high fat, low carb, high fat training platform that I actually want to do one of their courses. So there's a lot of nutritionists and doctors that are involved in actually pushing the high fat, low carb diet, a way of life in South Africa, which is so exciting. So there is a pushback. There is the tide is turning, but as you know, things take a long time. And
But thing
is
we've got the numbers on our side, right? Because
exactly.
as you know yourself, someone's only got to try it for 30 days, and
Exactly.
after
And
30
within a
days,
week,
very few people are going to go, no, I like being vegan.
I've got 2 families in my practice as a baby clinic sister that are raising their children as vegans. The one family said that they will, when their children are 5, they'll let them decide if they want to still be vegans. But of course, by then the damage is done to those little brains and bones and all of that, So it horrifies me, and I feel I can't say anything to them. But
Yeah,
so
I think in that situation, potentially, if you do say something, it potentially makes their convictions stronger about
of course.
veganism.
Oh, yes, because they are, and I find the vegans that I do meet are generally, excuse the pun, meat. It's what they need is some meat. Are usually more affluent people. Find, we have a lot of very poor people living in very poor areas, and you will never ever find a vegan there because they will want to eat. They will want to eat as much meat as they can possibly afford. So it's definitely a more privileged person's choice. A person who doesn't have other problems, so they choose veganism, unless it's a religious thing. But anyway, yeah.
So just as we're talking about South Africa generally, like, when I was in South Africa, which was many moons ago,
Yes.
the braai was very
Oh,
popular.
yes. Oh,
Like
yes.
the barbecue. But how
Mm-hmm.
is it now? Is it still
Oh,
a
yes.
popular thing to have a
Oh,
barbecue?
yes. Oh, that's the other thing I should mention is that the braai is South Africa is, for the most part, a meat-loving community. Really, the braai is one of our like traditional. When we get together, generally with people, family, whoever, we will have a braai, and so it's a very important part of our culture. And so meat. So it's not. So that is why when I speak to people in my clinic that I see are metabolically unhealthy, and I chat to them about it in a very sort of gentle way, they say, "Oh, but I love meat. Oh, chops with the fat on, And of course, we have the famous boerewors, which is a sausage that we have here in South Africa. I don't know if you had it when you were here, which is it's got very few added bits. It's mainly meat and some herbs and things like that. And so, we have got wonderful meat here.
Nice,
And
that's
actually
good.
not that expensive. Actually, in fact, I was just reading an article today on online about how they're worried that food prices are going to go up because the farm, and it's corn. They were mentioning corn prices and all of that. And I thought, well, hopefully that won't affect my meat because it's not going to, because I'm not buying all the other stuff. That's the other thing with being carnivore. People say, oh, but isn't it expensive? People say, oh, isn't it expensive? So I say, no, it's not expensive because I'm not buying vegetables, which I end up throwing half away because they go rotten in my fridge. I'm not buying pasta, rice, bread, jam, all that stuff I used to buy. I'm not buying that anymore. And because you feel so full, you're satiated, you actually eat less. And it's delicious every single time.
Right? It never stops being delicious, right?
No, it doesn't. Yeah.
So, how often are you eating, and what are your meals made up of?
So I eat mainly red meat. So I do eat what we call minced meat here in South Africa. It's called, what's it called overseas? It's called not mince.
Like
It's called
ground beef.
ground beef. Ground beef.
Yeah,
Yes. So I
we would call it mince in Australia, and it's
do you?
mince in
Okay,
the UK.
cool. So I make like a either lamb or beef mince, and I do make like a bolognese type sauce, and I actually eat that just with some cheese on, with some Parmesan cheese or some cheddar cheese, and in fact, having it cold for breakfast is absolutely delicious. Or else I eat steak or chops, sometimes sausages. I very seldom eat fish, but that's just my personal preference. Um, and how often do I eat? People always ask me that. Basically, my mantra is, like most people, is I eat when I'm hungry and I eat till I'm full. So I will sometimes have egg and bacon for breakfast. Sometimes I find I don't really feel like eating eggs for some reason. So I listen to my body, and but I don't. So I eat, I'd say, basically twice a day. We also have a thing in South Africa called dry wors. And so it's dried sausage. So our biltong, So biltong is like, I think in the States they call it jerky, beef jerky, or we have, basically it's raw meat that's dried and some salt and herbs added to it. It's a huge, huge, huge thing in South Africa, and it's absolutely delicious. So you're basically eating raw meat, which I know a lot of carnivores are raw carnivores. No, I'm not quite there yet, but so I eat biltong and I eat dry wors, which is basically like ground beef that's been had some salt and stuff added to it, put into a sausage filling and dried, and it is absolutely delicious. And I buy it from a butchery, so they've got no added preservatives or anything like that. And I snack mainly. That is my main snack that I eat, and it's wonderful. It's just wonderful. Never get tired of it. Yeah, so that's what I eat, just meat.
That's awesome. And so your brain feels calm, you mentioned, your kind of
Yes.
head's in a better place. The blood pressure has gone
Yes.
down?
Yes. So I've gone off my blood pressure medication. I was weaning myself off my antidepressant. So, but I have found that with life being stressful and that, I'm taking half the medication that I was before. So I think people should be very careful before they just go off all their meds. And obviously monitor your blood pressure. So, but otherwise I take no other medication. Yeah. So my meat is my medication.
Meat, yes, very good medication. And so what, at this stage, you're doing really well. You've been on carnivore for 7 months now, like, what would it take now for you to go back to a regular way of eating?
Funny enough, I've just been, because my sister's visiting from the UK, so we've just been for a weekend away with some of her friends down to the Kruger Park, and I did eat some other food, salads, and even some carbohydrates a little bit, and I felt so awful. And I got a tummy bug while I was in the Kruger Park, which was awful. And I can't see myself going back, because I just feel so great on this. It's so easy. Carbs, no. Occasionally, I will maybe have a piece of sourdough bread with an egg on it or something. Maybe occasionally, because sourdough is, if you're going to eat bread, have some sourdough. But pasta, rice, potatoes, family functions, if I have a tiny little piece, maybe. But because I'm fairly metabolically healthy, I probably can cheat a little bit and deal with it okay. But I can't see myself going back. I really can't. Because remember, I'm also looking after my mitochondria and my metabolic health. So I just don't want to go back. Why must I go back? To the joint pain and the not sleeping and all of that. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. That's
Yeah. I think that's, I mean, it's easier, right? But there's also the thought of, well, if I was to go back, then I'm
Yes.
basically restarting poisoning myself.
Well, if I did change anything, I would go to maybe a more of a ketovore. I would never go back to the way I ate before. Never, never. And I mean, now, well, once, like I said, the scales have been removed from your eyes. Once you go to the shops and you see that crap, excuse me, that's on the shelves, and you start reading labels. I mean, we've got an energy bar at the tills in my pharmacy. It's got 5 teaspoons of sugar in it. 5 teaspoons in one energy bar. So I'm like, there is not one thing that I would eat in those. Like, we go to garage shops. Garage shops, you'll have them. Everyone will have a garage shop where they, where are around the world. The only thing that I can have in a garage shop is water. Every other thing,
Okay.
garage shop.
You mean like a gas station or something?
Gas station. There we go.
Yeah.
Gas station shop. The only thing that is healthy to put into your body there is water. Yeah. The other thing, so I've come up with these little sayings. The other thing is that your biology doesn't care about your beliefs. So you can believe what you like about food. Once it gets beyond your throat here and hits your gut, the taste of it, I've become so aware as well that food is such an emotional thing for us. And it's huge, huge business. It is huge business to all the other stuff. People that will not want us to just eat meat. I mean, people will go out of business,
Yeah.
But
sorry to interrupt. I really like that. Biology doesn't care about your beliefs.
Yes. I'm going to do a YouTube video about that one day.
Yeah. Biology, by the same token, biology doesn't care about your feelings, right? We could apply that to so many things these days, right?
Exactly. But your biology does not care about your belief. So you can believe that you're saving the planet and not killing the little insect that's crawling along, whatever. But you need to be eating the species appropriate diet, which is animal protein. Here we go. I said it.
Yeah, very, very, very nicely said. Yeah, and I think I've already got the title for this interview. Then,
oh, there we go.
Given it to me.
Your biology doesn't care about your beliefs. Yes, there we go. I've also started a WhatsApp support group. So if people are interested, I say, well, can I send you some videos to watch? Because I can't really, professionally, I have to say, you must go and do your own research. I'm not going to tell you what to do, but this is what I've done. I would recommend that you go and research it and see what you think. And so in fact, this Sunday, we're having our first carnivore lunch of some of the people in my group. And we're having only carnivore food. We're going to have each bring a carnivore related dish or thing. And we're going to share our stories and just chat about the challenges and everything. So we're quite excited about that. Oh, the other thing is my eczema disappeared. My age spots on my hands have disappeared. So that's been incredible.
That's awesome.
So yes, so age spots have disappeared. So people are very, you know what? This is how to use a vegan metaphor, I see myself as planting seeds. Unfortunately, I have to use a vegetable metaphor. I'm just planting seeds. I'm opening the door for people to at least look at a different option, especially when they have these major, major health issues, And I know that this could be a key that will open the door to health for them, a major key, because they're not getting that information from the doctors.
No, the doctors are just happy to dispense the prescriptions.
Oh yes,
right?
No, they just write out the scripts. That's all they do. They hardly even look at the patient. Yeah. So,
going forward from here, you sound really excited about this and kind of very much the way I feel myself as well is very much, okay, pushing forward, we have to talk about this. This has to be a conversation topic that,
Yes.
we just one by one get to at least give people the information or plant the
Yes.
seeds. So what does the future hold for you in relation to that, and maybe other things that you want to pursue now that you've got kind of this renewed energy?
Yes. So, I mean, I'm getting to the end of my working life, working in a pharmacy. I would love to do this as a living. So I'm looking at doing a course through the Professor Tim Noakes Foundation, the high fat, low carb course. I would love to find a carnivore doctor, keto carnivore doctor, and actually start working with them. I would love to do my own YouTube channel. And just start. There's a saying that I heard years ago that says energy flows where focus goes. And my energy is so focused on this, and I would love it to become something bigger than just me and my little WhatsApp group here in Johannesburg. So we'll see. And people. The other thing I want to say is, anyone who's looking at this, anyone who watches this video, any other video, please read the comments. The comments for me are like gold. When you see the story after story after story after story of people whose lives are being changed by this, you can't ignore that. And then, of course, Julian Freud, or whatever his name is, you get the vegans popping on and chirping their little chirp. Oh, Lord, God bless them.
It seems to follow a pattern. You've got great story, great story, great story, great story,
Vegan,
angry
grumpy
vegan,
vegan.
great story, great
Yes.
story, great story.
They just, oh, God bless them, honestly. Anyway, so that is what maybe my sister and I, because she needs to get going with her business as well, and maybe we can do some sort of online thing for people that no longer is life restricted to your a location. You have to be in the same location as someone. You can do things online, consults and things like that. So watch this space.
Very nice. So right now, if people want to get in touch with you, do
Yeah.
you have any social media or
Not really. I've
website
got an
or
email.
anything?
I've got an email address. It's Curious Carnivore. Yeah, that's the only thing. Curious Carnivore 61.
Curious Carnivore 61. And it's okay if I just link that in the
Yes.
description?
Sure.
Okay. Excellent. So Debbie, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story with us. I really appreciate your time.
I really am so honored, honestly, and yeah, look forward to the future.